Right, so this is my research methods 4.3 data collection methods PowerPoint. Right, so there is two levels to data collection. The first one is level 1, which is what you can see on the screen currently, which is research design. And this basically shows you all of the different kinds of different kinds of research that you can do. So if you can go down the left-hand side, you see descriptive, so observational, what you could see from things, or from performances, from articles, things like that. So case study, cross-sectional and longitudinal, and correlations would come under descriptive. And then under the other side, which is experimental, this would be repeated measures. Right, so moving on to the first one, which is case studies. These are basically in-depth, these are basically qualitative descriptive research. This is basically written answers pretty much that you'd get from either a person or a group. So in case studies you'd basically be seeing the development of a person or a group or either a situation over time. So for example with the gymnasts, this would be asking them how they got to the current level they are at, or current level they are performing at. So this will basically asking them how many times they have to train a week, what they have to do during their training to get to the current level that they're at, so what specific things they have to do, and yeah. So moving on to the next one, which is cross. This is basically a study that is done at one set period of time on a wide range of participants. It's purely observational. There's no interfering with the group. It's it's sort of a snapshot in time. It allows the researcher to look at numerous things at once. So, say you got a big group of gymnasts, you'd see you compare their age to their performance level and sort of what rank they are in the country, something like that. There are some good things about this. It allows you to gather a large amount of data rather quickly, as you've got a wide range of participants in the same place. However, it's hard to find a lot of participants that all share one common factor or one aspect that is the same. So this wouldn't really be a problem if you're doing it for the British gymnasts, because they're all female young gymnasts, so you'd have gymnasts and sort of the age band as a similar aspect. This allows you to compare the results. Alright, and moving on to the next, which is longitudinal, which is basically observational research data that is gathered over a long period of time. So this will sort of be repeating the same test with the same group of people or the same person over many years. So, for example, with the British gymnasts, this could be having the same group when they first started gymnastics, and then going all the way through until they're competing at sort of country or international level, and seeing sort of what areas they've improved in and what areas they might not have improved in as much as they could have possibly compared to other people in their group. However, with this they can't say what the cause and effect was, so they can't say what happened that made them improve. All they know is that they have improved. So this basically looks at how two variables would correlate or be compared to each other. So sort of the increase of the first variable and how this would affect the second variable. So say height and your ability to do a set floor routine in gymnastics. How your height, so say the taller you were, the better you were at performing the set routine. So again, with this type of research, it doesn't provide you with sort of how you got there. It only provides you with the finished result. So you can't say what caused something to happen. You can only say that it did happen. Yeah, that's moving on to the final one, which is experimental research, which is basically research conducted using a hypothesis. So you'd think about the independent and the dependent variables and sort of what affects these. So you could have it either a lab, which would be where you controlled all of the variables, or field where you each time that you do it, the independent variable changes, and natural where you don't control any of the variables, so you'd be affected by the environment, the weather, things like that. So this would sort of might determine the outcome of your tests or have a effect on it. There's two kinds of experimental research, which is primary and secondary. Primary is when you gather all the research yourself and you do the test yourself in order to gain the results that you want to or that you need to. And then secondary research is when you go and look at someone else's research and pick out the key points that are valuable to your own research project, and then you sort of have to accredit them for the work that they've done, but you can then study what they've done and include it in your own research. And yeah, you could also use primary research to get your own results, and then use secondary research to then compare your own results to and see if there's any similarities or if there's any differences. So for the British gymnast scenario, you could personally do a set of fitness tests for one gymnast, and then another researcher could do the same tests on a different or the same gymnast, and then you could compare your results and see what's similar and what's different and things like that. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.